Hey everybody, I'm Howard, and this is Otter's Retirement Corner. It's been probably a week or so since I brought you a video, and I apologize for that. I've been having some medical procedures, a couple surgeries, so I've been on the mend and haven't been able to get to this. But as promised, here comes part 2 of the Republican Study Committee's proposal for Social Security and Medicare. This time we're going to cover Medicare. As you remember, this is a group of 179 Republic Congress people, about 80% of their caucus. And as we talked about last time, it was a 184-page document, which in essence summarizes their goal of eliminating the deficits in 5 years, which is a really noble cause, and I'm all for that. But unfortunately, as I said in the initial video, the document was mostly political propaganda, manifesto. Here's what's wrong with Democrats and liberals, and some very vague suggestions as to what they may or may not do. This Medicare part is mostly like that. They do have a little bit more in the way of general outlines of what they're going to do, not necessarily really good specifics. So let's get going. I'm just going to read a few lines from here and talk about what they are and what they mean. So according to the latest estimates from the Medicare trustees, the Hospital Insurance Trust Fund is expected to be depleted. Don't worry, I'll edit that out. In 2031, at which point payments to providers will be cut by more than 11%. Okay, now when we talk about that trust fund, that's part A. That basically pays for hospital stays. Currently, that trust fund is funded by payroll deductions, just like Social Security, but this is 1.45% of your paycheck goes to this trust fund, 1.5% paid by your employer. Now, they talk about an 11% reduction once this happens in 2031, and this is basically true. Any information I can find is very close to this. What's not clear is what that means. So what does an 11% reduction mean? That you'll have to pay that other 11% to hospitals, or hospitals will just have to take 11% less, or combination? Nobody knows. That's unclear at this time. There's really nothing spelled out as to what happens at that point. Is it, first come, first serve? Once the trust fund's used up, if you go to the hospital, nothing gets paid? Again, nobody knows. But, definitely a problem, definitely something to point out, and definitely something to fix. Okay, so now we get into more of the propaganda. And again, rather than saying, here's the problem, here's how we're going to fix it, they're going to go on the attack. And I don't know why this is necessary, but this is what they decided to do. So rather than exercising prudent leadership, President Biden has engaged in reckless demagoguery. I have no idea what demagoguery has to do with this. Using the Medicare program as a piggy bank to reward special interests. I'm at a loss to understand that. Nothing's coming out of Medicare going to special interest groups. So, if you have an idea what that means, let me know. Unfortunately, this is not surprising given Biden's history of supporting legislation that pulled funding from Medicare. As vice president, and this is a long ago debunked accusation, as vice president, Biden supported the passage of Obamacare, or the ACA, which raided $716 billion from Medicare to pay for the failed Affordable Care Act. Okay, nothing was raided from Medicare. $716 billion did not come out of Medicare. This was debunked almost immediately many years ago. I also like their comment, the failed Affordable Care Act. Like Social Security, it continues to be a very popular program. I'm sure there's people that don't like it. I'm sure there's people that lost some of their insurance coverages when they had some bare bones coverage and insurance companies were mandated to require fuller coverages. So I get that. There are some people who are unhappy with it. My biggest complaint is the name of this. The Affordable Care Act is not affordable. Nothing about medical or health care is affordable. So call it something else, but I think we misled people with that title. Okay, so they say this includes a $415 billion in reduced payments to doctors and hospitals. Yeah, they reduced the cost structure of Medicare. They cut out the cost of reimbursing doctors and hospitals, so doctors, hospitals, and insurance companies had to take less money. It didn't affect care. It didn't, they claim, doctors no longer take Medicare. About 95, 96% of doctors take Medicare, continue to take Medicare. No one's leaving the Medicare program. This was just a lie, just an out lie. So it reduced costs, never a decrease in service, never hurt beneficiaries. And then additionally, the Inflation Reduction Act used nearly $300 billion generated largely from Medicare price controls to pay for its woke agenda. Come on, people. All right, so first of all, $300 billion wasn't taken. Again, these were price cuts to the program, basically for being able to negotiate some drug prices. So they reduced the cost they were paying for drugs for their beneficiaries, or what the beneficiaries had to pay. Nothing came out of the Medicare program. They just spent $300 billion less because of the Inflation Reduction Act. And the part at the end, to pay for its woke agenda. I mean, come on. The word woke is probably the most misused word in politics. Most people on the right side will use it as a liberal catch-all for liberal policies. The word woke actually means becoming aware of racism to the African American and the black communities. That's the origins of the word woke. Sometimes it gets stretched to mean LGBTQ, but that's what woke is. Simply saying we want to tax people more, that's not a woke agenda. That's got nothing to do with being woke. But they had to add it in because it riles up their base. I get that part, I guess. Okay, so by some estimate, the IRA's dangerous policy, and that's the Inflation Reduction Act, could deny Americans up to an estimated 342 new potentially life-saving drugs by 2039. And here's their point. What they're saying is if you reduce reimbursement of drugs, you're taking away the incentive from drug companies to do R&D, to invent new drugs, to cure diseases that weren't cured before, or to treat symptoms that weren't treated before. And there are papers and research, and they actually cite one here from my school, University of Chicago, so I have to give it some support, that says this happens, that if you reduce payments to drug companies, they won't do as much research. However, there are also several other articles and research papers that say this effect is really small, and it might affect 5% of the R&D being done. You'd have to get up to a 30-40% reduction until you would see a dollar reduction, until you saw a drug reduction to the extent that it would really be that harmful. So they're onto something here. It's not 100% wrong, just totally misleading, and probably not as bad as they say it is. Okay, so the RSC budget rejects the approach taken by the Biden administration that uses Medicare to fund liberal special interests. Again, no money's coming out of Medicare, nothing's being funded. What are these special interests? I don't know. Further, RSC policies result in savings, not cuts, for seniors through lower premiums, reduced costs, and greater choice. Bring it on. All for it. Go, go, go. No, not you, Otter. You can stay. Sorry. All right. So to achieve this, the RSC budget would implement a premium support model where private Medicare Advantage plans would compete with a federal Medicare plan that would offer the traditional Medicare benefits received through Part A, B, D. Medicare Advantage plans provide the same services as Medicare. All right, so what they're saying is, right now there's Medicare Advantage and there's regular Medicare. About 50% of people on both sides, roughly. Some people like Medicare Advantage. All they're saying here is they want to incentivize more of that private insurance. And that may be a good idea, it may be a bad idea. The problem is private insurance has an incentive to make profit. They make profit, they add costs to the infrastructure, they add costs to the cost of healthcare or insurance. So it's going to cost people more in the long run, it will just cost the government less, or it could reduce payroll taxes, but you pay more out of pocket, or we don't know. Again, this is kind of a nebulous explanation here. Now they're saying, there's a couple different trust funds in Medicare. This new singular trust fund would be funded with revenues from existing payroll taxes, Part B premiums, and Part B and D cost sharing, which would help ensure continued traditional Medicare benefits remain available. The framework would ensure seniors, whether they choose a private plan or Fed plan, receive more affordable, high-quality coverage. Again, that's unclear. They're looking to spend less money and cover more people through private insurance, which has a profit motive. So, give me the details. I can't see just from that how it's going to save any money. But smaller government, and that's their goal, and I get that part. Okay, the CBO has found that certain models of premium support Medicare would reduce seniors' premiums overall by 7%, while decreasing net federal spending for Parts A and B by 8%. I get that, and that could happen, and that could work, but this is talking about federal spending. There could be more spending on the other side out of your pocket when you pay for services or when you pay for insurance premiums. Again, insurance companies make profit. That's why they're there. They add cost to the system. All right, so the IRC budget would also implement site-neutral policies throughout the Medicare program to lower costs and reduce consolidation hospitals. Site-neutral policies would ensure that hospitals cannot profit from charging inpatient prices for outpatient services. Okay, so here's what a site-neutral policy is. I spent a good amount of my career in financing in the healthcare sector. I won't get into exactly what I'm doing, but I came to understand how hospitals work and how the system works, and where the costs are, where profits are. Basically, what's going on here is they're saying that right now Medicare will pay more to hospitals than to, say, physician offices or small clinics for the exact same services, because hospitals have higher cost structures. And again, while that's true, what are they looking to do here? Are they looking to force you to not go to hospitals, or are they just going to pay hospitals less? And if they're going to pay hospitals less, I'm not necessarily against that, except there's what's called critical access hospitals. There's rural hospitals that are much smaller, that operate on a very slim margin, and at any time are a year away from not having enough money to operate. So, I've seen financial statements of hundreds of hospitals and hospital groups. Most of them do quite well. They have a lot of money. They have large endowments. They are able to make, increases to their plant. If they were to get cut somewhat, I could live with that. This plan works in that way for me. But again, the devil will be in the details. So again, they say the savings would come from hospitals no longer being allowed to upcharge Medicare for service provided at lower rates to patients. Yeah, I'm for that. That's cool. Okay, so again, just it was a small part about Medicare. Gives you some idea of their intention. Let me know what you think. Are the Republicans on to anything here? Does this make sense? Are you for it? Are you against it? Are there better plans you can think of? Tell me. Please subscribe. Sorry I was gone. I'm back. Subscribe. Let's get going again. Like, share, comment. Let's have some discussions about this. Thanks, and we'll see you next time. Bye.